So now we move on to the next speaker. No. No, I am not going to call him the boy next door. No. I am not even going to call him the most eligible bachelor. I am not going to call him cute also. Let's talk about the lesser known facets of this young personality who is going to come. Sure, he makes any odd girl on the floor skip a beat when he walks by. Sure, when he speaks it seems like, its mellifluous voice is going to, melt your heart. But he's also an ace speaker, someone who can give competition to anyone. So let me call upon a big thundering round of applause for Kunal.
Once upon a time, there lived a poor woodcutter in a village by a river. He used to cut wood in the forest, bring it by the river and chop it down. Once, while working on a particularly difficult piece of wood, his axe flew from his hands, dropped in the river and disappeared. There he sat by the river, surrounded by melancholy and morosely praying, "Oh God, please help me." And to his surprise, he heard a celestial voice. "What worries you, my son? Why do you seek help?" He stood up, incredulous to the situation, and spoke to God. "Oh God, I have lost my axe, and it is my only source of living. How will I survive?" And at this, God smiles and says, "Do not worry, my child. I will get you thy axe." And from nowhere, God conjures a silver axe. The woodcutter says, "Oh my Lord, this is not my axe." At this, God conjures a golden axe and offers it to him. And the woodcutter denies again and says, "Oh Almighty, this is the most wonderful axe I have seen, but it's not mine." At this statement, God finally conjures the woodcutter's iron axe, and his face lights up with ecstasy, and he says, "Thank you, God, this is my axe." God is pleased at the honesty of the woodcutter, and he presents him with all the three axes, and the woodcutter is no longer poor. This was a fairy tale that I heard at the age of 3. Maybe a few of you have heard it as well. What does this story tell us about? It tells us about the importance of truth and honesty. And it's at that tender age that our parents want us to inculcate these principles. But I believe at that age we don't need this story, because all children are always truthful. It is as we grow that we are introduced to the fallacious mannerisms of mankind. It is today, when we communicate with the world, that we need to remind ourselves of the importance of truth. It has become a mundane attribute of humanity to give up the path of truth when faced with difficult circumstances. The most simple example I can give is about government. When you want to get your job done in government, you have to give a bribe. It's considered as a rule. How many of us have tried to fight this rule? I can bet each one of us has. But have we continued fighting, or have we given up to the dubious demands of destiny? This is the first characteristic of truth. The path of truth is difficult and full of hurdles. The path that takes you away from truth will be easy to follow. Let me repeat. It is easy to follow, and that is exactly what you do when you follow that path. You follow. However, when you walk the path of truth, you don't follow, you lead. Think of any of the great leaders in this world, and you will find one characteristic that is common in all of them, and that is truth. The easiest example here is Mahatma Gandhi, a person who started walking on the path of truth alone and then had an entire nation follow him. You might say, so what? M.K. Gandhi was assassinated. Yes, he was. But his principles were never assassinated. His principles remained immortal. And this is the second characteristic of truth, that truth is immortal. The actions that we take on this path last forever. One of the most difficulties in walking the path of truth is when it is unpopular. I remember an incident when one of my friends invited me over to a gathering, and I denied, saying, I do not want to go out. The truth was, I wanted to go out with my family, and I thought it would not be very good to say that. So I lied. And eventually, me and my family ended up going to the same restaurant where my friends were. Can you imagine the situation I was in? I was out of words. Had I only spoken the truth in the beginning, I wouldn't have been here. And this is the third characteristic of truth, that truth can never be hidden. It comes out, and eventually it is truth that will triumph. So what am I trying to say here? That we should all speak the truth? Am I assuming that people sitting in this room are liars? No, that is not what I'm assuming. But the point that I make, or the point that I try to emphasize, is the importance of perseverance on the path of truth. We will always be faced with a lot of difficulties and a lot of fear. But we need to overcome our fear and do it anyway. Continue walking on the path with courage. And to quote Napoleon Bonaparte, courage does not mean having the strength to go on. It means going on when you do not have the strength. Hence, my friends, continue walking on the path of truth with courage, and you will bring a change in this world. A change that will revolutionize human bondages. A change that will improve our relationships. A change which will make this world a better place to live in.
Thank you, Kunal. You just did extreme justice to the introduction I gave you. And Kunal, now I know when I asked you out for dinner, you said you're not feeling well. I know. I just know.
And the best speaker award goes to Kunal.